Enjoy the podcast too. Enjoy the podcast too.
What is up, everyone? Here we are. It is time for the final mock draft Monday of the season, and we are here with the TCR All-Stars. I am joined by Kyler Burd, Coach Aarron Van Buren, and Troy Honaker. So let's go around the horn. Kyler, how are you, good sir?
I'm doing a heck of a lot better now that I've seen you gentlemen. It's tough semester, barreling towards the end, but we're done.
And there's a thunderstorm there.
Forward to, and there is a thunderstorm here, yes.
If anything happens, then that's what's going on. If Kyler ends up bailing for some reason, it's inclement weather. Aarron, how are you in the great snowy Midwestern North?
Well, we thawed out for now. No snow on the ground for now, but we don't rule that out. I'm good. I am just here with heart palpitations as the Bucks are in Game 4 against the Heat. So, go Cardinals!
Awesome. Well, we're glad to have you. Troy, how are you, good sir?
I'm good. It's been a while. I've emerged from my darkness retreat, just like Aaron Rodgers, and been working on my mocks, and I'm ready, for the last one of the this wonderful offseason. That's just the gift that keeps on giving.
Well, speaking of Aaron Rodgers, right? He finally got traded, right? So Aaron, since you're from that part of the country, what are your thoughts on that whole deal?
Well, personally, this relieves one of the most annoying things about being an Aaron from Wisconsin. Everyone comes up to you and be like, "You're named after Aaron Rodgers, right?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not." But
I was born before people heard of him here.
Exactly. But I can't believe it actually happened. After growing up in Wisconsin, they've been ridiculously spoiled for 30 years, and I'm just so happy that he will not play the Cardinals in the postseason unless he makes the Super Bowl.
Yeah, right. Well, here's hoping that doesn't happen. All right, let me say hey to some of the folks in the chat, and then we'll get going with some of the Cardinals news. We got Classy Nasty with the side eyes. Thanks for being here. We got Grandizer holding down the chat as always. Appreciate you, Grandizer. Gary Coker, thanks for being here. Gary doesn't do Twitter, but Facebook he
Smart
does.
man.
Yes. But let's go Cardinals. Joe's the man. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Draft week is here, though, right, Classy Nasty? And Jordan P., last mock draft Monday of 2023. Man, it has been a journey. We started this, in February, January? Started it early, and it flew by, but it's been a lot of fun. Dakota Bedard, thanks for being here. Same thing again next year, draft also. I'm sorry, Joe. No worries. He has some kind of confusions on Discord. So you're good, Dakota. Silver Wolf AZ, what is up? Thanks for being here. All the cool kids show up for draft premiere finale. Nice. That is right. All the cool kids are here. Agent 47, all the Cardinal rulers on the building. Thank you all for being here in the chat. All right, we're going to start by talking about some Cardinals related news that's not directly draft related, but there's been some stuff in the news. We'll start with a little article that was posted on Pro Football Talk by one Mr. Mike Florio with this, kind of headline, just 5 days from the start of the draft, of a draft that will be critical to the short and long-term interests of the team. Cardinals GM Monty Austin-Fort and coach Jonathan Gannon take a break to attend the Kyler Murray statue unveiling in Oklahoma. And when you get into the article, there's this paragraph at the end that I think is really kind of an interesting quote. And while I generally defer to the personal time management decisions made by those who have been hired to handle the most important jobs for a pro football organization, perception can become reality, especially at a time when the reality isn't good. Given the massive rebuild the Cardinals are facing, Austin-Fort and Gannon skipped town for a trip to Norman doesn't create the best perception as to whether they're doing everything they possibly can do to make the best possible decisions as they prepare to use or trade the 8 picks the Cardinals have in the 2023 draft, starting with number 3 overall. Gentlemen, What do you think? Troy, why don't we let you get started? Because I know you had some thoughts on this. What's your take on the Florio hit piece?
It's just like, I mean, it worked in a sense where, like, obviously he did it just to get a reaction out of people. It's just the classic, like, and now you're all crap talking him, reposting it, and it's spreading, you know, it did serve its purpose, but it's just so, like, dumb, short-sighted, and just like, you know, he couldn't really take himself that seriously. Like, even his co-host Chris Sims today was just like, are you kidding me, dude? Like, he couldn't even say it with a straight face. Like, and he was just like, well, you know, everyone that I was talking to is happy that they're doing this. You know, they're just losing the competitive edge. It's like, dude, like, come on. If you actually think they're going to be like any meaningful things going to be happen over a weekend like this late into the draft, like, come on, it's just ridiculous. But it's really frustrating, and it's just like, I don't know. It's just like, oh, well, they're not working hard. It's like, I've seen your guys' like projections and like rankings. Like, I don't think you really understand how the NFL works either. Like, so what are you to say?
Wait,
And
you don't agree with Will Anderson at number 5?
yeah, Will Anderson at number 5. Like, come on, like, let's just get real here. And then they had him on today in AZ Sports in the morning, and like, I was kind of disappointed. Like, the two hosts just kind of let him say it and didn't even like hold his feet to the fire. It's just like, come on, guys, like, have some respect for your hometown team here. You just let this dude just like, you know, shoot off with this, and I don't know. It's annoying. I hate it, but and I don't want to give him any more attention than he gets. But it's just he has now been blocked, and like now I blocked him. I don't want to see any of his stuff on YouTube or anything. Like, I'm just done with it. Bye.
Okay, Aarron, what were your thoughts? What are your thoughts?
I would like to preface this by saying that I am usually a Mike Florio defender because I agree with a lot of his viewpoints. However, this is more of a stretch than the show Gumby, okay? For those who know Gumby. But this actually reminds me of, you know, my time being in Chicago. There was an infamous caller one time when the Bears took a scheduled day off to go to a suburb to help rebuild a town that was, you know, torn up by a tornado. And a caller basically chimed in and said, how, you know, dare they do that? They should be out there, you know, getting better and practicing. And the station ripped that caller a new one. And this is the exact same vibe I'm getting here, because this kind of a take, like, I mean, I didn't know he was getting the statue. So I'm like, okay, cool. But also at the same time, this is a take I expect from Colin Cowherd of anything, not Mike Florio. So weird flex here, Mike, but okay. It's definitely one you probably took an L on, and probably one you didn't see coming. But I mean, just bury it and move on at this point, Mike. It's draft season. Plus the Rodgers trade is here. You got more stuff to talk about.
For sure. Kyler. I'm sorry. Yeah. Good.
Well, I just loved he was like, all the other coaches are still working, and then it was instantly filled with 5-6 head coaches all at the various sporting events that weekend.
Playoff
like
games.
Like, yeah,
NBA.
dude, they all are. Sorry, Kyler, go ahead.
Yeah.
No, it's just a ridiculous clickbait thing. Mike Florio does this all the time, and wouldn't it also be concerning if the GM and head coach of a professional football organization didn't have their big board done by this time? Wouldn't that kind of be more concerning? That they haven't already done all the work. They know exactly who they want. They have all their contingency plans. Wouldn't that be more concerning than them going to support the guy that everyone in the organization has like triple and quadrupled down on as the franchise quarterback? That's the decision. That's the future, and the direction of the franchise is built around Kyler Murray. You better be there. The dude won a Heisman. He's a legend at Oklahoma. Not that many people really get football statues built of them. Like, that's a pretty big freaking deal. So the fact that they were there, I think, bodes well for that relationship. And, you know, Kyler Murray looked happy at the uniform unveiling and everything. So if you're making him happy, that's great. And hopefully they already know what they're doing with the draft.
Yeah, for sure. I tweeted this out. StreamYard's acting weird. If Austin Fort and Gannon didn't go to the event, I imagine the headline would have been Cardinals brass a no-show event honoring Murray. Like, I feel like you're damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Exactly.
And, you know, you're right. I think this is an L for Florio. And like, it's interesting because like Florio has his takes, and I'm kind of with Aarron in that historically I don't hate all of his. I think I'm hit or miss on him. some of his takes I've agreed with, some I didn't. I was neutral on him, but this is like he's been getting criticism and taken to task from a lot of different places on this. Like, Cal Odegaard, got at it, a lot of other people, but like PFF, if you follow me on Twitter, like I shared, like they did a podcast today, and a couple of the guys there were like called that out, and Kemi Nandolo, who's a channel member and a supporter of the channel, got the clip, and I retweeted the tweet he sent out. Like they even called out what a ridiculous take it is. It's just silly, and like there's this sort of point of diminishing returns when you need time off in a week. Like you try to work 90, 100 hours a week, there's a point where your brain stops being productive, right? So like the whole idea, and I know this is I know some people may have different opinions about this, but even the whole thing when people get about Kyler and playing video games, like, or athletes taking time off to play golf, like your body can't handle practicing as much like 24/7, and your mind can't handle film. I teach, I study, I've learned, there's a point where your brain needs a break, right? So this is just a ridiculous take. And a couple of comments in here, Jay Green saying, are we back in the 80s? They can receive a call away from home. Didn't a lot of people work from home just 2 years ago, right? Like, you think that if you think they weren't working on that trip, right? You don't understand how this works. They're on the phone. They're gaming kind of potential trades, and like you said, Kyler, the boards are pretty well set for the most part. At this point, most of that work is done, and whatever work is left to be done can be done on the road. So yeah, really ridiculous take, right? Let me say to some of the other folks that have dropped in here. We got David Jimenez. Let's go mock draft Monday. Appreciate you being here. Aaron Noobs. Great to see everyone here. You guys are awesome. We appreciate you. Thank you so much. The whole gang is here. Chris Young, party up in here. Woo-woo. We got Drew McWhorter. Thanks for being here. Happy mock draft Monday. Jordan P saying, my favorite part was when he cited saying, would Bill Belichick do this? And yet Belichick is average at best of draft. Belichick's good at certain positions, but yeah, like you can't hold that. Just a bad take, right? Let's see. And yeah, Agent 47, the Cardinals didn't support K1 could be a concern 100%. Right. Brian, thank you for being here. Brian Perkins is here. Guys, came by to tell you I miss you all. Joe, you're the man. Praying for Smart Draft. We appreciate you, Brian, and your continued support. Johannes, thank you for being here. Good Cardinals fan, supporter, and friend from Germany. Appreciate you hanging out with us today. For you, is it night or more middle of the night?
It's 6 hours ahead, so he's got to be like 5 a.m. maybe.
You are the man. Thank you for being here. Yeah, Jordan P. This just in. Mike Flores says, if you sleep during draft season as a GM or coach, you are an abject failure and will get shown.
How dare you if you're not breathing at the right respiration rate?
Right.
Cliff Kingsbury probably only slept about like 4 hours a week, and look at that. And that was.
I mean, the guy. No one questioned Kingsbury's work ethic, right? But it still didn't work, right? So yeah, Jackie, thanks for hanging out with us. Hello, gang. Happy draft week, fellas. 3 a.m. Don't ask why I'm up again.
Within 2 hours is good enough.
Yeah, right. So yeah. So someone's gonna steal that Satchis' Monopoly piece. Oh man, yeah. All right, so okay. There's another piece of news. New threads, new uniforms were revealed last week with much hubbub and much ado. And one Mr. Troy Honaker is sporting a shiny, fancy number 1 in the away whites. So, excuse me. So, Troy, why don't we let you, since you are the one who has forked over the hard-earned cash to actually get one of those jerseys, why don't you lead us off as telling us what your thoughts were about the new uniforms?
I think it's a success. I think a lot of people, I think we all knew it was going to be very divisive, and people, no matter what, people were going to hate it just because it's, as like Mike Flory pointed out, it's in fashion to hate on the Cardinals. But I actually don't think there's as big as a failure as a lot of people say. I actually like them for the most part. I think the away whites obviously are really good, really clean. I really like them a lot. I think the silver works well I think I probably would have liked gold maybe a little more, but I don't know. But that again, you're kind of getting close to like Chiefs territory maybe or something like that, or 49ers, depending, what shade of gold. But like the white a lot. Black is cool. The only thing I really like about the black is just we're like Falcons territory, and that's kind of meh. I wish I would have like a little different color to that, or a little more different. And then the reds, I'm okay with. I think it'd look way better in person and kind of like on the field while it's moving. The big Arizona in front doesn't bother me as much as I thought it did. It's just these Nike templates are all like kind of bland. We all kind of look the same to a certain degree. But I don't think it's as big as a lot of people seem to like them. I think it's going to grow. I mean, again, I just want to get us more in the rhythm or cadence of like not doing this every 20 years.
Like be in the right decade. Just be in the right decade.
Yeah. Just be in the right decade. But yeah, I think it's cool. NFL jerseys are always kind of bland anyway. It's not like soccer or basketball culture. It gets some really fun, crazy stuff. But yeah, I like it.
Aarron, what are your thoughts? Nice. Okay. You don't like them. Sad face. Okay, tell Aaron. I love the presentation, by the way.
Thank you. I worked hard on that. To me, it seems like it's incomplete work. And to quote George Carlin, I never give credit for incomplete work. If you know that bit, you're cultured. But I'm wondering, okay, so the home jersey is the only one that has a TV number, or Scoot. Hey, get that.
What does your cat think about them?
Well, she's really new to us, so she probably doesn't have an opinion yet.
Okay.
She hasn't been through football season. But the red jersey has TV numbers or numbers on the shoulders or sleeves, I think. But the white and the alternate jersey don't. Mm-hmm. The Arizona on the front is a nice touch after just having Cardinals on both home and away jerseys for all these years. But it just seems like somebody just held down the shift key too long and was just like, oh, let me just blow this up. I don't know. I kind of had a feeling I was going to like it, but of course, in all Cardinals fan fashion, I give myself just a little bit of hope right before the very end. And then this just comes out and it's just kind of like, are we the Arizona Buckeyes or the Rutgers Cardinals? Or I don't know what's going on with these. And my one thing that I wanted changed that didn't happen was just a red face mask. Because you can't see silver on white. Let's not kid ourselves here. No one's going to see that unless you're shining a hard spotlight on it. And if it just had a red face mask, I would have been able to deal with the rest of it. But this, to me, is just kind of like, I don't know, to use an old, presidential quote, it's like putting lipstick on a pig.
Okay. Mr. Bird, what do you think of the new Bird uniforms?
I think they're an upgrade. I do think in typical Cardinals fashion, it's kind of a disappointing upgrade or an underwhelming upgrade, I'll say. Not disappointing. But yes, they're obviously fresher than the jerseys that we've had for 20 freaking years. And the alternate blacks are nothing crazy new. Those are fine. The alternate blacks looked fine this year too. But the white aways, I think that's like the biggest shift away, and I like them a lot. I think the silver is a nice alternate color. It doesn't pop a lot. It does look Buckeyes. You can't really deny that. But I do think the white aways are pretty nice. Those are pretty fresh. And the red homes, those are the ones that are truly underwhelming to me. Like It is just the Nike simplistic design that they do for everyone now. And at first I was quite upset about the size of the Arizona, but I have thought about this and don't take this out on me, but I think part of that is just who's modeling it. We did choose literally the smallest man on our team to model it. I think that will look different when it's a giant 6'8" lineman.
Put that up there with
was
the Monopoly.
Was Rondale in red too, or is he?
Rondale
The-
was
The
in
red
red.
were all of our smallest guys are Hollywood, Rondale, and Kyler.
Did you see
So-
my J during that though? When they said Rondale Moore, he looked back like saying like he's still here.
You know, the whole thing with the Kyler, like my take on that is like it's like family. Like we can make fun of his size, but other people can't, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
1,000%.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think that seems to be a fairly consensus kind of view. Dakota's saying, I like the new uniforms, but it's too plain. Grandize was asking, did logo change of the slightest? They did add some shading, like some to like
Made it
the
slightly
feather. Like it's the same kind of thing. I think that was it's the black helmets, I think, are the same black helmets they released
Yes.
like last year. So it's that same shading. So Jordan P saying the red ones could have been so much better, so bland. Agent 47, this new uni is better. The white is killer. About the red one, need to wait and see on the field, but it's better than before. So yeah, I
And I think too, if they swap the
Oh my
pants
God.
for certain ones, like if it's the red with the white bottoms, that looks way better. People have already been kind of like mocking those up, and that does help a lot too. So
I wonder if
there'll be some cool
doing that.
variations.
It'd be interesting to I wonder if they'll actually do that. That would be kind of nice. Saltiest Game, thanks for being here. What's up or what up, everyone? The uniforms were subpar just like the off season. Thunder, thanks for being here. Throw some stripes on the red pants. Silver could have been copper. So yeah, like I think like when looking at when they first kind of revealed the new uniforms, I was a little underwhelmed. I wanted something a little different. I didn't hate them, but they were just I thought maybe there'd be just a little more something, especially on the red one. I thought there's different touches they could have added. They are very minimalist. I also understand that there's been just kind of in style and design a move towards minimalism. And I understand that some of that's a generational thing. So at the risk of being like a boomer, even though I'm a Gen Xer, I understand that like the clean look is kind of what's in. So I totally get that. The white ones I'm fine with. Like I know I don't like them as much as most people, but I get it. And I think it's going to look nice on the field, so I'm good with that. The black ones are very similar to what they had before. And I'm fine with it. Maybe it would have been nice to have something a little bit different, but I'm good with it. I don't hate the red ones as much as some people do. I'm fine with the big Arizona text. It doesn't bother me. I do wish they added a touch, like stripes on the legs, maybe. Or one of the things people have talked about is like the Arizona flag on the arm, except I would have wanted it to be more of an embossed. Imagine like an embossed, like gray. So not the full color flag, but just the design of the flag on the shoulder with just an embossed kind of color.
I could get with that.
That I think would have looked really nice, but still subtle enough without doing the full flag colors, right?
That's the other thing too. Sorry if it's one.
No, good.
But the Cardinals don't have like a unique color scheme that really screams out at you. Like you look at some of the teams like Tampa Bay, Seattle. I mean, heck, even Cleveland. They wear brown. I mean, it's just we don't. This may work better with a different team who has a very distinct color because they basically created 3 color rush uniforms with this move.
Yeah, I mean, it does look a little bit like that. Yeah. Robert Moore just dropped thanks for being here. Good evening, gents. Unis look like they played it too safe, too basic. David Jimenez, what's your opinion on the size of the Cardinal bird on the side of the helmet? That's interesting. Some people have talked about making that bigger. What do you all think about that?
I like it because if you go back and you look at the 80s and the 90s helmet, that Cardinal, especially back in the St. Louis era, used to be huge. I mean, I even have a little replica helmet, and the Cardinal tips of the feathers are almost touching in the back on that thing. And I like that because it's just one, that's the old school look, and I was always partial to that. But I mean, it doesn't make sense if you got that big of white space. I mean, fill it up. I mean, we've seen worse, bigger logos.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on the size of the bird on the helmet?
I think it's fine.
I like it.
Tradition.
Yeah. Matthew saying maybe it's because I'm not from Arizona, but I don't think the flag was good at all. I
You
feel
don't
like
get it, Matthew.
Yeah.
You don't get it.
I'm from Wisconsin, man, and I think that would have been boss.
Now, I will say though, I would not be for the flag with its full color version. I think that wouldn't have looked good. But just imagine like a gray embossed that
For sure,
of
yeah.
it. That would have been kind of neat. But
'Cause the flag has like blue in it, which that's just way too many colors all
Yeah.
going.
If it's a blue Cardinals jersey, you can do
yeah.
that.
David saying they said it's bigger, so maybe the bird is a little bit bigger now. I like this. They just picked the first default uniform option on Madden, right? That's yeah. And you know, Salty's Gaming saying, I guess the Cardinals will never go crazy. They won't. They're this very tradition-oriented franchise, whether you like that or not. You know, so yeah. Thunder saying, I think the bird is bigger. It's also metallic red now. Yeah. Gary Coker saying Cam was rocking the uniform and players seem to like them, and that's what meant. I mean, it does seem like the players like him. I know that maybe some people say, well, of course they're going to do that, but it seemed like some of the behind the scenes stuff, they really did like him. So, you know, so as far as one last comment here, Joanna saying, I'm totally fine with the jerseys, but at first I was shocked when they revealed the red one. Yeah, it was a little bit of a shock. Well, I did some polls on my channel, on my YouTube community page about, you know, what do you think? And got almost 300 responses on each poll, close to it. A little over 200 to 300. And these were the responses in terms of just the you know, people who responded to my polls on this. And I asked, you know, them to rate them. I love them. They're okay. They're meh. And I hate them, right? The same highly scientific scale on all three of these. And as you can see, it does seem to more or less reflect kind of what we seem to be seeing and hearing, right? That, okay, the white and the black are the most popular. I was a little surprised to see that if you add up the percents, the black are actually a little more popular than the white. The white's the one everyone's been talking about. But the red certainly seems less popular with, you know, more people kind of neutral or not liking them. So that, you know, this is not a representative sample of all Cardinals fans, but it, you know, in terms of statistical methodology, but it is, you know, a reasonable sample size. And I think that more or less is kind of what I think we've been seeing. So Grand Eyes has got a really great question. Joseph, would John Michael Schmitz look good in that uniform asking for a friend? I mean, come on, right? Of course, right?
Luke Whippler's probably going to look good in it, though. You know, he already had the Ohio State
Probably
red.
going to be Luke Whippler, isn't it? Yeah. So anyway, that's kind of what's going on in Cardinals news there. So, you know, it is what it is. We got new uniforms. Maybe they aren't what some of us would have hoped for, but I feel like it's an improvement. Mike Florio is doing Mike Florio things, and the draft is this week, right? So that's the exciting part. And we're here to kind of wrap up the Mock Draft Monday kind of series for the season. And I've asked each of my esteemed colleagues here to do one mock draft, and we're going to go over our mock drafts. We're going to talk about the mock draft that I released yesterday, and talk about that a bit. And then we're also going to just in general talk about kind of things we're hearing, what we think is kind of going on, maybe how picks might be trending for the Cardinals, and just some general draft conversation to kind of try to wrap things up as we go. Real quick, I want to say to James, who just popped in, thanks for being here. Black Uniform's always been the best. I like those as well. So I've asked each of you to do mock drafts, and I added them in the order of who got back to me first. So we're going to go with Aarron Van Buren. And Mr. Van Buren, do you really think the Cardinals are going to make 20 picks at the draft?
Okay, so I used NFL mock draft database, and their trade system is kind of bonkers. I wanted to trade back with the Raiders, and in order to make the trade, they made the Raiders give me
the Ricky Williams deal.
Yeah, pretty much. So okay, I know a lot of people are probably flipping tables over Skoronski up there, but I have a legitimate claim to this. Okay, the offensive line is something that the Cardinals have needed forever. And besides drafting DJ Humphries and Jonathan Cooper in the first round, I'm not sure if there are any other first round selections in the Keim era in the O-line, that it needs to be there. Okay. Now I know people are concerned about Skoronski's arm size, but there is somebody that he also basically played with that has the same arm size and is a Pro Bowl left tackle. His name is Rashawn Slater. He plays for the Chargers. Okay. His arm size is not a concern. Skaronski, you can move him into guard because there's only 3 guards on the roster as of right now. Will Hernandez and like 2 other people. I'm blanking on their names right now. It would be a great addition, especially for whatever offense, Gannon and the offensive coordinator. Is that Petzing or is that the D coordinator?
Petzing is the offensive coordinator. Yeah.
Okay, good. I got that right. So Petzing, you want to build. I think you build from the inside out and you go through there. Went a little bit on defense for picks 2 and 3. I still think cornerback is an area that we are really deep in as well. And then of course taking I think this Ika out of Baylor. And another one I was really interested in was Tyjae Spears with that 3rd pick as well. I said that I saw a little bit of Matt Forte in him, just a little more shifty. And I think that the Cardinals will only end up keeping one of Keontae Ingram and what's the second running back behind Connor right now?
Corey Clement.
Yeah.
Corey Clement. Yeah. I think only one of those guys is going to stay. And if you're going to take a running back, it's there. And then finally, Whitebler was sitting up there on the board at 96. And I just go ahead and take him. So the rest of these picks are just kind of best player available. I did take a flyer on Dorian Thompson-Robinson, quarterback in UCLA, just because, Colt McCoy is only getting older, and you don't know if, DTR can kind of just become a nice little trade piece down the road, do a little 90s Green Bay Packer draft strategy here. And of course, I had to get one more Northwestern guy in there, slightly biased. But, I avoided the temptation as much as I could. And that is how I can summarize that draft. So if you have any questions, feedback, let me know.
Real quick, I want to just say, Salty, thank you so much for the super chat. Shout out to y'all, Best AZ Cardinals YouTube channel. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. Salty is often a guest on the He's on Fire podcast, so definitely follow him. He also has a gaming channel, so check out his content. Thank you. Appreciate that. It means doubly knowing that you're a content creator, so you know what goes into the work to make content. So that means a lot. I definitely game recognizes game, right? So what in the world? We drafted the whole draft. Who will you pick? Yes, right. So yeah, is that like 45 picks? I counted. It's 20. Skaronski with the T-Rex arms. Okay, so yeah. Anyone want to? Either of you gentlemen, Troy or Kyler, want to comment? I've got a few thoughts, but I want to give you a first crack at AVB. You want to take the first shots?
Oh, Lordy. No, I sympathize with his plight and trying to find a good mock draft that does trades. Because after PFF, it's as we'll explain to get to mine, like it's maddening trying to find a good one. But yeah, no, I like the DTR call out because again, I think the Cardinals are interested in him, and I will not be surprised if they do throw a flyer out on him. Just given Colt McCoy's injury concerns, I know they picked up Driscoll, right?
Yes.
Driscoll. So and then isn't there one more guy, or is it
David Blau?
There it is.
Yep.
Yeah. So I can see it. We'll see what happens. But yeah, no, like a lot of these names again, it's the climax of Mock Draft Monday, seeing a lot of familiar faces out there.
Listen, with that many picks, you're going to see plenty of familiar faces. Kyler, what do you think? What are your thoughts?
I'm just so confused how you got so many picks.
You can go right to that website and you can be literally in the 6th round and a team will call up, be like, hey, I want to get in the 6th round. Here's my 2024 entire draft.
It is weird. That site is
with it. It used to be really good, and then all these like non-realistic trades happen. So take these results with a grain of salt.
Did they give you the Raiders' entire draft or something? For
they gave me about 5 or 6 picks. I can recap for you.
Yeah, I've gamed PFF a few times with that. They'll give you the entire draft on some teams.
Yeah, they gave me their entire draft.
Wow. Luke Whippler, I think, if you can't have the Schmitz, Whippler is the guy.
We got the Schmitz.
And I'm with you on
Usually what happens if I eat bad seafood.
Yeah, right.
I like Skoronski. I think all of the short arms things are pretty overblown. Like he's pretty elite talent. I'm with you on that. We've been seeing the stuff in the past couple days about
Paris Johnson is
Paris Johnson and some O linemen going really, really high up some draft boards. And 7 for Skoronski is probably a bit much, but I really don't hate it. I mean, this is half of a team, so
I will say, like, I'm warming up to the idea of Peter Skoronski as a potential Cardinals pick. I mean, I've always liked the player. Okay, it's never been not liking the player. In general, I just have not been a fan of the idea of the Cardinals taking a tackle early, because they've got 2 starting left tackles on the roster, and I get a right tackle on early day 3, and you can find a starting right tackle on day 3. But despite my objections, it just seems like there's a lot of winds and rumors that the Cardinals are looking tackle, and they've had a lot of visits with tackle. So if they're going to take a tackle, they're going to take a tackle regardless of what I think. And Skoronski would be a good one to take. I think Paris Johnson Jr. is the more likely, because he's more likely a true tackle in the NFL, at the NFL level. And listen, Aaron, I know you play offensive line, so you know more about this than I do. But the thing I heard in an interview was, if you have short arms and you play tackle, you can play at the NFL level, but you have to be technically perfect. Yeah. Because the arm length does matter, and you have your mechanics and your footwork have to be perfect. And Skoronski is that kind of player, so he could do it. But I still think he's going to end up being guard, because he's going to be a Pro Bowl guard versus a serviceable tackle, in my opinion. But, if they take him there and they play him at guard because they don't need tackle right now, and then they move him to tackle later or keep him at guard, it's not the worst thing that could happen if you get a Pro Bowl guard out of that pick. So I wouldn't hate it. So, I don't know. I know some people like the Michael Wilson pick. A couple people comment on that. A+. Michael Wilson, the only thing with him is injuries. He's had a hard time staying healthy. If he can stay healthy, he's great. But that's why he hasn't gone up.
He missed most of last year, didn't he? Like in October, took him out
quite a bit. Yeah, I don't know exactly how much, but yeah. So, Mazaki Felix saying Slater is more athletic than the current T-Rex arm prospect. So maybe that's
both
part
have
of
the same arm length. So then they're both T-Rexes. So your comment is not.
Saltius says, "Give us the Schmitz," right?
Make it crazy.
Pete Treepack, like Whippler at 96. You had like 2 centers in there. I know you're you're like double down, but I think that's But hey, they gave you too many picks. So what are you gonna do, right? Jordan P saying, argue guard is more important for Kyler than tackle. So I'm really cool with it. And I thought about that too, because like when I interviewed Brett Coleman, I believe he was the one who said that, like, for this offense, athletic interior offensive linemen, guards, and centers, athletic centers is really key for the wide zone. So that is important. So hey, it was fun. I like some of the picks here. They're not taking 20 players, but I like a lot of the picks. But listen, you said, that site is weird with their trades. Oh, I got an echo. All right. So next up we have Mr. Kyler Burd. Kyler, why don't you give us kind of the overview of your wait, Matthew's saying 20 picks, no guard. Yes, there's a guard, Peter Skoronski, right?
Plus you got Will Hernandez on the other side, and just to calm your fears, it's not Max Garcia.
right. Jordan P, I like drafting the whole draft, so A. All right, Kyler, I'm disappointed you didn't get us 20 picks. What's up with that? All the cool kids are taking 20 players.
I just thought about it. There's 260 something picks in the draft, right? Literally almost 10% of the draft.
Yeah, nearly 10%. A solid 8.5% right there, AVB. Good job.
So in mine, I am functioning off the idea that Hopkins gets sent out for the draft, which now that it's Monday is gone, kind of seems unlikely, but it's not impossible. And 4 hop, I got, let's see, a 3rd, a 4th, a 5th, and a 4th next year from Buffalo, which, sadly, is probably a pretty good haul for DeAndre Hopkins in the real world. I doubt we would get 4 picks for him, but and then I just think it's a foregone conclusion that the Cardinals are trading down if they can. I did see a report earlier today that it might be harder for them to trade down than they were anticipating. Like might not be as many teams ready to give up what it takes to get to 3. But I still think if given any sort of option, they're going to trade down and take what they can get. And so in this one, I went with a pretty popular Tennessee Titans trade down to 11. They take 3, and we get 11, a 2nd round, a 5th round, and a 1st round next year. So I think it's an uncontroversial pick if he's there at 11. Christian Gonzalez or Devin Witherspoon, 2 top cornerbacks that can do anything that you could ever possibly want them to do. If they're there at 11 and some of the other top guys are gone, that's where you go. We don't need the quarterbacks. Will Anderson's not there. Skoronski was gone in my draft too. So Christian Gonzalez was best player available for me. And I think he's a fairly close to a can't miss, at least starter level cornerback. And then I did go heavy through the rest of the draft on corner, defensive line, interior and outside, and offensive line, because if you're going into a rebuild, retool year, whatever you want to call it, that's what you should be going for, I think. So tackle, DeJuan Jones. I think I remember you, Joe, saying that you're not the biggest fan of him, just his fit with Kyler Murray. But everything else at that spot felt like a reach. Mm-hmm. So I went with him because he's massive, isn't he?
He is like 6'8", something like
yeah.
He is, yeah.
He is like out of this world big. But I mostly went with him just because he's designed to be a right tackle. That's what he played. That's what he's meant to be. That's how he plays. So that's what we need more than a left tackle. And then Luke Whippler, common pick. I didn't get the Schmitz in this one. And a guy that I don't know too much about, I took in the 3rd round, Tuli Tuipulotu, and mostly because through what I have done in the draft, I'm not the biggest draft guy in the world, but I know the edge class in this draft class is pretty crazy. And him and I took Viliami Fehoko later on in the draft too at edge. Kobe Turner, I kind of take in most of my draft. Just think he's a really solid dude from not the biggest school in the world, but also not some tiny little Steve Keim school either. Right. Same with Moro Ajomo.
Wow, trashing on Adrian Wilson's college, eh?
Moro Ajomo shows up for me a lot too, and I take him a lot too. Just run stuffing, beef up the interior defensive line. And sadly in this one, the first one of the year that I've done, I had to draft a safety because who knows? Because sad stuff. Because who knows? And Andrew Voorhees, I know he's not going to play next year, but since I had some extra picks from the trades, why not? He's a really good player, and he's not going to play next year. So you have other people in the guard position, but if you have him lined up for next year, I think that's great. A 5th, 6th round, kind of the sweet spot of running backs. And I like Keaton Mitchell just because he's the opposite of James Conner. Not the big guy, kind of smaller, but he is stupid fast. And if you're going with a 1-2 type of system with a big running back and a small shifty one, I think he's the perfect type of guy for that. And Bryce Ford Wheaton, I think you take a wide receiver somewhere, even if it's just taking a flyer on one, and he's like the possession guy that you kind of like a Hakeem Butler type of guy that you take a flyer on. 6'4", 2 something, huge dude, kind of the size that you need. And then another flyer on a cornerback, Mekhi Blackman, and then a quarterback that kind of has a similar play style to Kyler Murray, Malik Cunningham, just to have a young guy on the roster because you've got extra picks anyway.
Okay. Well, let's get a couple comments here related to your draft. Robert says overall good draft, Kyler, grade A-. Jordan P likes Christian Gonzalez at 11. He said that'd be marvelous. I said he's CB1, even when consensus had Ringo CB1, Foco to Paluto are also really nice mid round pieces and legit upside. Andrew Bradford's a little surprised you didn't get a receiver earlier. Surprised you didn't add a higher ranked wide receiver. Grandizer said good solid draft. Petrie Pack likes the Keith Mitchell pick. Drew McWhorter, I love Malik Cunningham. He reminds him of Tyler Huntley. And for a backup late day 3, that'd be a nice get there. Matthew Drew, it's A+ draft. Petrie Peck, and we'll get to Mingo in a bit. Wide receiver Mingo, maybe A.G. Brown 2.0. I think love Gonzalez, right? And Whippler, we talked about. I like Tua Pelotu. I think he's a really nice, interesting, versatile edge. He's a guy who's a little bit bigger. He could either take off weight or add some weight and play different spots along the line. And with the defense they're going to do with kind of the versatile fronts, I think he could be a guy that could fit in a couple different spots. Love Turner or Jomo. Voorhees to me is just not a scheme fit. He's more a power running or inside zone rather than out. So that's the thing for me with him. But, sometimes teams take guys that aren't perfect fits. So doesn't mean he's necessarily off the board, right? So Lord Dane, like the draft, solid. Saltiest game is saying I'm coming around to trading the number 3 pick. I'm glad you are. I know it's not everyone's on board with that. I've been on that train for a while. There's just some really good players that you can get a little bit later and build a deep roster. Yeah, Jason Voorhees in this draft. Indeed, he is. Lord Dane likes
not included.
Likes Thule and Kobe Turner picks. So I think this is nice. I think that's I suspect that with Hopkins, I think we're probably going to get a 3rd and a future day 3 pick. That's what I'm starting to feel like. But we'll see, right? So, but all right. Well, let's go on to the draft of one Mr. Troy Honaker. Troy, lay it on us. Good dude.
Alrighty. So first things first, I want to get the trades out of the way. One of these trades a lot of you guys will not like. But first I traded D-Hop to the Bills for, I think, pick 91. I don't remember. I have it in my notes here. Well, I forget. I traded D-Hop to the Bills for maybe I don't even remember if it was the Bills or not. D-Hop got traded for a pick. I don't remember which one it was. Doesn't matter. And then I traded Buddha away to the Eagles for a 2nd rounder.
It's interesting how they're going to afford that with Darius Slay.
Yeah. Well, I just did that because that's what Pro Football Network keeps throwing at me. Because again, that system makes no sense on trades. I would proposition the Raiders to trade to 7 for pick 3 for 7 and 70 or whatever, and it'd be like nope, and then it would offer me that plus Hunter Renfrow. I'm like, what? Like, I just offered you this. So yeah, Buddha's traded down to 7 with the Raiders, and here we go. So yeah, Devin Witherspoon at 7. Christian Gonzalez is my number 1 pick, but again, this is just not how the mocks work. I'm fine with either Devin Witherspoon, Christian Gonzalez, or Tyree Wilson at 7, because I think if Gannon and those guys think they can coach up Tyree and have confidence, then that dude's going to be a monster. Just like the quick Tyree thing. And I mean, Jordan P were talking about this last night, but like, I think what's tripping some people up is like on tape, he looks really awkward and clunky and slow because he kind of is, but he still produces numbers and like looks really good in advanced statistical categories. So I don't know. That's just pure upside if that guy gets it going. But let's keep it going. Second pick, BJ Ojulari for the edge. Obviously his brother plays for the Giants. He's really good at LSU. He's got pretty good bend motor, probably like a high end kind of Marcus Golden type prototype. So that'd be good. Then got Keanu Benton, defensive tackle, nose guard out of Wisconsin. Just a big boulder of a man to go up there, which we haven't really had a good nose tackle in a long time. And I felt like we desperately need that. Jalen Jones at 70, another corner. He's more of a zone scheme fit, so that's why I like that there. Whip it good, of course. Now, Joe, I know you have this guy at your second round. I just took him here because it's where he was ending up. But our guy, Jonathan Mingo, he's probably going to go higher, as you said. There's a lot of buzz around him, but he's just a monster. He's just big, tall, gets contested balls, just an animal. So that'd be awesome. That'd be like a good D-hop.
Right.
Not quite, but like, maybe, who knows. KJ Henry is just kind of the best pair available. He's kind of a good, I think, a high or low floor, or no, high floor type guy, Same with kind of Nick Broker, who's a guard, who's just kind of has all the, all the measurables and stuff, kind of developmental guy. And then finally last is Shaka Hayward, just could be TJ Edwards 2.0 out of Gannon's and Rollis' system. So,
Hey.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay. Well, let's get some comments. Real quick, I want to say, hey, Dynasty Life Fantasy Football. I did a mock draft with like 5 other content creators. Forgive me, is it Richard? I'm trying to remember. There were 5 of us, but he was one of the gentlemen. I know you're a Vikings fan, but you fantasy football stuff. And he was really good dude that we were hanging out with as part of this live stream that I was on collaborating. So appreciate you dropping by. I hope you're doing well, my friend. Thanks for being here. Let's see. Drew McHorder saying, I know it's been stated, but it hasn't been stated enough. This wide receiver class sucks. It's definitely not last year's, right? Stevie B, my apologies. But yeah, Stevie B, thanks for being here. Thanks for hanging out with us. So a couple other comments on this. Mingo at 105 would be a heck of a find, right? And you talked about this. It looks like he's going. Yeah, he's not going to be there at 105, Dennis. And he's going to be probably in the top 50.
We've seen crazier things happen.
Yeah, it does seem like though there's a lot of belief he's going to go probably round 2, maybe late round 1, but probably more like round 2. But Agent 47 likes this A+ because of Witherspoon. Mingo, Witherspoon, Ojulari, really nice. Thunder doesn't think Buddha's going anywhere, and I tend to agree. I think they're going to.
I don't think he's going anywhere, but if you're getting like first round, second round compensation, like, I'm sorry, I'm going to be that guy. Bye.
Okay.
Like, your win total's not moving with him or without on the team. Like, it is what it is. And
my head hears
you. Be that guy.
My head hears you, and my heart tells you to take a walk. Right. So, but I feel that though. Yeah. So a couple other comments. Jordan P saying Witherspoon's a dog. It's really 1A, 1B with him and CG. Can't go wrong there. I would agree. Dennis Hutcher saying, I personally don't like KJ Henry's tape. Yeah, when you're going that late in the draft, the guys are going to be flawed. So he's definitely a limited player. Let's see.
Sorry, Mike Florio. I'm not doing my mocks on the weekend, so that's Mike Florio's bias coming in there.
Right. Pete Treepack, reminder everyone to hit that like button. Thank you for doing that. Cruz, thank you for being here. Appreciate you being here. Is Rashard Lawrence still on the team? Hopefully we can get a healthy season from him. He is on the team. He's on the team. He's just had a hard time staying healthy, right? So for sure, right? So yeah, I mean, I love Witherspoon. I love Ojulari. Benton's a nice pick. I think it's possible Benton lasts that long, but I think he'll go earlier than that. But that'd be a great grab there. So yeah, I think there's some nice picks on here. So, and you went with the trade that no one else was willing to do. So I'll give you some credit for.
I had to go for it,
Yeah.
And just like, I know we keep talking, why are we also convinced the Titans want to move up so bad? I don't understand that. Like, why would a new GM want to leverage his entire future essentially, like on their probably a third choice quarterback. That's not computing to me.
I think a new GM wants to bring in his quarterback, and I do think they're probably not sold on Willis. I think Tannehill, he might not necessarily want him as that guy. I could see them wanting to, and usually if there's that much smoke, then there's people reporting that. So, but Drew McCorder thinks it's all smoke.
Sucking for a year and getting Caleb Williams. That's our game plan, right? Just kidding. Just kidding, everyone.
So yeah, I don't know. We'll so that'll be interesting to see, right? I do think there's a good chance that they go back further than that, like that they end up trading back even further. When I talked to Brett Coleman about that, he said, listen, be prepared to wait. I'm hearing they might be looking at teams trading back even further. So, I don't know.
I mean, there's already been, this is coming from Bidwell, but there was already quotes that like they're really shooting for really hitting 2024's draft, like when they'll have all their scouting system and everything fully like in place, ready to go. So that wouldn't shock me at all if they just took a punt on, all the way down.
I don't think you can manage that as an organization. You just can't just be like, well, we're not really going to try this one, but 2024, done.
Not try, but just maximize as much capital as you can get.
No, I tell you, I've been thinking in similar lines for a while, and I don't think it's that you don't try. What I think it is, for example, when you're trading back, you get a first and a third this year, but you prioritize getting future picks, right? So it's not that you're not trying this year, but it's like, okay, if you are Monty Ossenfort and you had to come in and kind of, fix the car while it's driving and try to install your processes, and that next year's draft, you're going to have a full year of your entire scouting and evaluation process in, and you look at it and you're like, yeah, I could try to get, trade back and get like 3 extra picks this year, or I could get like maybe 1 extra pick this year and a couple extra picks in the future and just kind of push that out a little bit. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's going to be a priority for them to look at future picks in those trades more so than loading up this year. So yeah, we'll see, right? Real quick, I want to say hey to Pale Time. Thanks for being here. Pale Time, the Canadian Rams fan. Happy draft week. Props to Joe for great mock draft Monday season. Thank you. And, thank you for being a guest on here. Definitely appreciate you and all that you do. So we'll see. Right. So let's get to, I've actually got 2 mocks to talk about on my end. The first one is the one that I released as a video. So everyone's kind of seen this before if they've seen the video. And I'm not going to go through every single pick, but I want to in general talk about this mock because I think a few people were maybe surprised to see some of the picks on here. The Jonathan Mingo pick at 34, I know is spicy. Nolan Smith was maybe a little bit surprised for some people. Not going cornerback earlier, not going defensive line earlier, waiting till later in the 3rd round. And there were some people didn't love the draft, and I get that. And to be honest, this isn't a draft of like all my favorite players. This was me using all the video research I've done, the Monty Ossenfort draft strategy with the chart that I put together, the list of players that they've met with. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, I think every player in this mock is someone the Cardinals have met with at a pro day, combine, top 30 visit somewhere. And then so I looked at the players they've met with, I've looked at team needs, and I looked at that way that I think Monty's going to approach the draft in terms of where they take positions. Like, for example, the Patriots in his time there never took a guard or center before round 3, right? And as much as people want a center and a guard first or second round, potentially, the Patriots just never did that in the times there. Now, could he go in a different direction? Absolutely. But I do think what he learned there in the Patriots organization is going to influence. So the whole kind of approach to this was when I started working on this mock, I went into it with the mindset of, okay, I want to clear my head of all the players I like and what I think they should do and all the mock drafts I've done. And I just know historically following the draft every year, I have players I like, the draft happens, and the Cardinals go with different players, and maybe that's Keim, I don't know, but like the draft always looks different than what I thought it would. And I wanted to put together a mock draft, say, okay, let's put together a mock draft that I think is what the Cardinals are likely to do based not on what I want, but on all the research I've done. And I went into it prepared that the picks would not make sense to me sometimes in terms of what I like. And that it would look, the end result, I might not even like it at all. And that's how I approach this, right? And I like some of the picks, and I'm getting, thank you for get some comments in here. Dennis also saying this is a great mock. Jordan P saying my favorite pick of this mock is 105. Clark will be a good day one starter. Love the Anabaconda pick. Shame on me. Where's Seamus? That's fair. Love the Meriwether pick. Free safety from Iowa. Yeah, Keim drafts. Yep, right, exactly. Grandizer, this is a solid draft, really solves a lot of needs, also maximize all picks. So I will say, for me, if I'm doing the mock based on players I like, it does look different than this. But this was my best effort to try to put together a mock that I think is the closest to what they're going to do. Some of it's reading tea leaves based on all the things I've heard and read. Some of it's really going by that chart. So this is what I came up with. And again, I know the Mingo pick at pick 34 shocked some people, but there are a lot of people saying he's going to go around there. And I'll tell you what, my thought process on Mingo was, one, they did meet with him and they met with Quentin Johnston, right? Two big receivers, right? In fact, the only receivers I know that they've met with so far, them and Charlie Jones, who's a smaller receiver, more of a day 2, day 3. And they've met with two big receivers that are guys that are late first round, early second round pick type receivers, because Johnson might slide, right? So to me, it's like they might go there. Now they might go tackle, right? We've talked about that. But I also, with Mingo, he actually comps to Deebo Samuel. Like physically, he's very similar. In fact, he actually is better in some measures. That doesn't mean he's a better player necessarily. There's more to it than, combine numbers. But with Mingo, part of what I just imagined was Petzing is from the same school of offense as the Shanahan school. They come through through the Kubiak branch of the Shanahan school. So the offense they're looking to run is going to be similar to that Shanahan offense. And I just imagined, Jonathan Gannon, Drew Petzing, and Monty Ossenfort in the draft room saying, hey, we could get our Deebo Samuel for this offense. And that connection being appealing to them. So anyway, I won't go through all of these, but that's kind of my thought process. So I'll kind of open up to you, gents, if you want to kind of take some darts at this and what your thoughts are on. And I know I kind of ran some of this by you, Troy, a while back, and you were like, that's interesting. Not necessarily in a good way, but so have at it. Tell me, am I off the deep end, or is there anything in here that you think I might actually be onto something?
I mean, I don't think there's anything really wrong with this mock. I just wonder, of course, this probably, I'm not sure if this was done from just a straight up draft standpoint, but if one thing that I've seen in, there are other drafts that aren't mine that we've seen tonight is that the safety position hasn't really been addressed until fourth round or later. And I know mine's in the third round, but yes, I know I had 1 trillion picks, but still at the same time, I still think I got one of the better safeties off the board. And if
you got all the safeties,
I only drafted 2. Give me a break. Or it may have been 2 or I don't know. Who's counting? But I just think that the safety pick just needs to be a little higher in emphasis, because we don't know what's going to go on with Buddha, whether he stays or if he doesn't, whether he plays out his contract and then they let him go, who knows? So.
Yeah.
I mean, you took obviously an extreme amount of work into all this, which is funny because we all know when come draft day, all hell's going to break loose and nothing, it doesn't matter.
I'll be lucky if I get one of these picks, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. When we were talking, because you're like, yeah, here's my first one with all that. And I was like, was it Nolan Smith in your first one? I thought maybe he had someone else.
It was, I'll tell you, it was actually Lucas Van Ness, I think.
Okay. Yeah. And I was like, yeah. No, but I mean, I think it all makes sense. I think, again, Mingo at 34 is, I get kind of the spicy one, just because I just can't see them spending another second round pick on a wide receiver, just given we've used so much capital in that
but
one
he's
spot.
not small, right?
I know. Trust me, I hear you.
Right? Yeah.
I hear you. I think
Yeah.
if we do that, I think it's going to be Quentin Johnson, just because that means he would have fell and that value would have been too much to pass up. But no, I mean, I think it's great. I want to see what your heart says, though, Joe. Not your mind, but your heart.
Right. Well, I have another mock with my heart, but Kyler, do you want to add any thoughts on this before?
I like the Nolan Smith pick a lot. I like Nolan Smith a lot. I think at 11, that's a great spot for him. And Jonathan Mingo, I don't think that's crazy because regardless of whether it happens before the draft or not, Hopkins isn't going to be playing on this team next year. Like, it just realistically probably isn't going to happen. He doesn't want to be there. He's not going to be there. So if you need another big wide receiver like that, Jonathan Mingo's the best guy in the draft for that. Now, is this the year to spend a second round draft pick on a wide receiver? Probably not, just because of how bad the wide receiver class is. But you got the Luke Whippler, you got that one, and whip it good. And Gervon Dexter I like too, but I think this is a totally reasonable draft.
Okay, cool. A couple comments real quick. My friend Kevin, thanks for being here. 10 picks. You'll probably get 8 or 9 of them right, Joe. Yeah, here's hoping, right? Salty saying, let's draft nothing but wideouts, tight ends, and linebackers. And then, found Kime, right? Yeah, there he is. Daniel saying, the only issue I have with this mock is I think we need more than one edge rusher, but maybe that's me. Thomas showed real potential in a small sample size. I think we need one good edge rusher, to be honest. I think what we need is interior defensive line, because I think if you go Cameron Thomas, Myjai Sanders and a rookie, those 3 rotation, then you've got Dimakaji, who's some depth, right? And I think one good edge rusher is what you need, right? Yeah, Kevin, not gonna lie though, my heart wanted to see Jameis here. No, that's fair, right? And Jordan saying Myjai and Cam is enough at edge to, so like if you get one edge, I think it's good. You need that defense. In fact, to me, I feel like what's incomplete to me about this is I need another interior defensive lineman in addition to Dexter. That's my view, but you can't, you only have so many picks, right? So, okay. And, I had a good conversation.
Can all be Aaron with 100 picks,
Right, exactly. I had a good conversation with Walter Mitchell and over Twitter, and I appreciate that. And, he's asking me about this and, and he encouraged me, hey, do one other mock. And it's like, well, I think I'll do another one. I decided to do another one for this, not what I think the Cardinals will do, but like, that's just the last kind of representation of what I want, if it were my picks. Right. While this mock right here is my best guess at what the Cardinals will do, though, I will say, with the recent news, I would probably change this to have a tackle early now. It's just starting to feel like an offensive tackle is coming in the first 2 rounds. But with that said, here is the mock draft that is kind of what I would do if it was from my heart. I would trade back to 6 and get Devin Witherspoon because I love Devin Witherspoon. I like Christian Gonzalez a lot. Like, I agree. They're, as Jordan said, they're 1A and 1B. It's what's your preference? For me, I like the grittiness of Witherspoon. I think though he's going to go earlier than people think. So like I went with a trade back to 6 to get him. And then in the second round, I went Tuli Tuipulotu. I think he's a really good fit at edge for them. The versatility, and I think he'd be a nice fit there. Then I went with A.T. Perry, big receiver, but waited a little longer. That he might not last that long, but I went with him at pick 66. Then, of course, Chandler Zavala. Got to have Zavala. Even if guard isn't the biggest need for us right now, arguably, I still love him as a player. Kobe Turner, another one of my favorites, got that interior defensive help. Then Israel Abanikanda, running back. And I waited a little bit for center, and I went with Olusegun Olutimi. I wanted to consider going with the other ones earlier. Your cat's showing us its best side. And then I've got 3 cats, so I get that. But I ended up waiting on center because there's depth, and you can do that. And I think Olutimi would be a nice starting center in the 4th round. Braden Daniels, I do like as at guard tackle. in the 5th round. Jared Clark, not a player I love, but like I wanted another defensive lineman, and to me, he was one of the better ones on the board at this point. And then yes, Puka Nakua, he's another one of those guys who injury is the only real deal with him. But that late, he's one of the players I probably like better there, right? So that's the mock kind of from my heart. Salty's asking, would you draft Jalen Carter late in draft defaults? For me, I think I've talked about this before. For me, for Jalen Carter, this is what has to happen to take Jalen Carter. I'd have to have traded back probably to like 10 or 11. I'd have to have had multiple meetings with him and feel really good about it. And I have to have that trade back to have the other picks to offset the risk, right? And if he were to fall to 10 or 11, which I don't actually think he will, I would maybe consider it then, but I think he's off their board. But so anyway, this is the draft that not what I think the Cardinals do, but this is the draft from my heart. We've only just got a couple minutes left, so I'll ask y'all, what do you think about this? And then any final thoughts, and we'll get out of here.
I'm just shocked you didn't have Whippler JMS in it. I'm surprised you went lower on that. That kind of tripped me up.
I if I was going to do that, I couldn't have Perry, Zavala, and Turner, and it was tough. You know, I like Olutimi though, so yeah.
I like the A2 Perry too. His measurables are insane.
Yeah. So okay.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
I like beefing up with Zavala there in the 3rd round. And then I just think it's a solid draft. But my favorite pick is Zavala on this one so far.
Yeah. Cool. Well, real quick, I want to say, hey, Albert, thanks for being here. What's up, fellas? Happy Mock Draft Monday. I love Devin Witherspoon's physical corner and is a dog. I promised these guys I'd get them out of here by quarter after. So we've gone over a bunch of mock drafts. We've gone over news. We've had a lot of comments. We couldn't get to all the comments, but this has been a fun Mock Draft Monday season. I know it's been a blast for me to learn about the prospects. It's been a blast for me to hang out with you gentlemen and all the other guest hosts. I want to thank everyone who's jumped on. So why don't we real quick go around, have each of you give your last thoughts going into the draft, anything you want to say, and anywhere where people can find you, and then we'll get you out of here. So Troy, let's start with you.
Alrighty. Well, I hope you have a good draft. I think at the end of the day, guys, as long as Steve Keim isn't doing it, we're already in the net positive. I'm sure you guys all saw him doing his media rounds, acting so shocked. I'm like, why is it so hard to get rid of D-Hop? I don't know. It's like, what do you mean? You know exactly why. You did it. It's so hilarious to see him do these things. So we'll have fun. Let's. Where happens. Again, we could be waiting a while. He could be dropping down in the 20s for all we know. But again, if you're looking for a place to watch the draft, come to Four Peaks at a big draft party. PHNX will be there doing their show, and yeah, it'll be a good time. I don't know if I'll be there. I'll be in and out. Who knows? But yeah, go Cards.
Mr. Aarron Van Buren.
Kind of the ping pong off of what Troy said. I just. It's not Keim making these picks, but also expect the unexpected. I mean, that's what I was saying. The mantra was for years, or for the last couple of years here in Cali. That I was saying that back when we were on Raising Zona. Just be ready for a curveball you didn't see coming, because a lot of experts are saying that they have no idea what's going to happen in this draft. So I'm locked into the fact that the Cardinals are going to trade the pick. I just hope it's not out of the 1st round, because I want a 1st round pick that isn't Hollywood Brown this year. That's all I ask for.
Kyler Burd.
Let's try and set aside the trauma of the past few years. It's not Steve Keim. He can't hurt us anymore, guys.
Unless he goes on Patrick Peterson's podcast, right?
Well, actually, he can still hurt us, and he constantly does, because we don't have a roster anymore. But
he's doing draft coverage for Fox Sports or something.
He is, yeah.
He's doing something, so you could listen to him if you want.
So all of our preconceived notions of how Cardinals drafts usually go. It's probably not going to be that way this year. So that's exciting. And the draft is just fun to watch. It's just, regardless of how the season goes, draft night, you still have hope. And you still think that dude you pick on day one is going to be the next superstar. So hold on to that hope. Let it carry you through the next few months.
Yes. So it is a new day, new regime. I'm excited to see what happens. I mean, I'm legitimately excited to see the first draft that isn't run by Steve Keim. And I think it's going to be different. I'm hoping it's going to be different. And I am excited. So thank you all for being here. I didn't get to everyone comment-wise. I apologize if you jumped in late. But it's been a great Mock Draft Monday season. Just as a programming note, I'm not going to be doing any live streams during the draft, because once they make their picks, I want to start working on my videos I'm going to do in terms of reaction videos. So if I'm live streaming, it's hard to work on that. But I do plan to get some reaction videos out to their picks in normal TCR style and fashion. So watch for those. But thank you everyone for being part of Mock Draft Monday. It's been a lot of fun. Make sure you watch the channel for whatever is coming out in terms of reaction videos. And we'll see y'all when we start back for the normal TCR live at some point after the draft. So thank you all for being here. And we're going to do the quick shout outs to the channel members. And we're going to do the theme song one last time. Actually, we're going to do two. We're going to do the John Michael Schmidt song and then the theme song. So,
all right, you got to drop JMS on us.
We got to do that, right? So, here you go, guys. Peace.
John Michael, he's our center Schmitz. His name's on my draft too. No matter what they say, this mock is A-okay. It's got John Michael, he's our center Schmitz. Hey yo, it's Joe Mo. He's the host of Mock Draft Monday on the Cardinal Show. So join